Shall we wait for 1 more minute and then we'll start?
Yep. Sure.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome. We have with us Kritika Soni over here from Delhi, and she's a graduate from Chelsea, passed out in 2014 in MA, and then she leaped into ceramics. I think having a fantastic studio available for us. So over to you, Kritika.
Thanks, Akanksha. Hi, everyone. So I'm really happy to be hosting this virtual studio tour of Sabi for you guys. So how I have kind of like planned this session is probably I'll start with giving a brief introduction about myself and my practice and how Sabi came about. And then I can show you around the studio space. And probably then I can like just give you a brief process of my practice. And in the end, if there are any questions, you can of course like ask me and I'm happy to answer. So, okay, so by degree, I am a textile designer. I did my undergrad in textile design from Srishti College of Arts in Bangalore. And then I went to Chelsea for my MA in textile design. And that's exactly where I had my first exposure with clay there. I was doing my MA, my final thesis was around slow design, slow living, entwined with this Japanese philosophy called wabi-sabi. For those who don't know, let me just briefly explain what wabi-sabi is. It's basically appreciation of aging and finding beauty in imperfection and just accepting the natural course of time, that happens, the changes that happen over time. So that was my thesis revolving around. And I finished that, and I didn't want my final project to be just around fashion and textiles. So I wanted to move to the lifestyle aspect. And that's why I thought of sort of like incorporating another medium. And that's how the idea of working with ceramics happened for me. After that, I came back, I finished my course. I was in the textile industry for a year, but something kept pulling me back, and cut it short, basically, I found myself at a junction where I had to choose between continuing in textile industry or making a jump to a field that I had no formal education in. But I think when you're young, you're bold and you take decisions, and I took that leap of faith. And yeah, that's how Sabi. I started making my ceramics under this brand called Sabi. Sabi, to give you a little context, what it means. So Kara in Japanese means from, and Sabi is coming from wabi-sabi, the philosophy that I just mentioned. So yeah, so it means like coming from wabi-sabi. So that's how the studio and Sabi came about. So even though I kind of like changed my mediums, I think for me, the foundation stayed the same. I continued working on the aesthetics of slow design and intentional living, and just like finding inspiration in decay and fragmentation. So that kind of stayed the same for me. So that didn't change. Only the medium was changing for me from fabric to clay. I think for me, like when I look for inspiration, it's like there is beauty everywhere around us. So I think I particularly get intrigued, say, in architectural ruins or faded wood or paint peeling off, like, yeah, like just something that kind of shows passage of time. I find that I find that very intriguing. And that's where I kind of get my inspiration from. So that's where I am like, so when I'm creating surfaces in textile, in ceramics, I am trying to get that reflection of how nature works. Like aging is inevitable; you cannot escape it. So it's best you embrace it. So I think that's where, like, when my aesthetic is basically, it's exaggerating the wear and tear that comes. When I'm making my ceramic pieces, I do not go for perfectly aligned, straight 90-degree angles, or it's for me, it's something as basic as, like, it's handmade, and I'm not trying to get a perfection of something that's made by machine, simply because it's not made by machine, it's made by hands. And I want somebody who is buying from me, for example, to understand where this is coming from, like, to be able to see beauty in the imperfections. And because personally, I feel that I think it's adding more character to the pieces. It's adding more nuances, like these little imperfections. So for me, that's where my aesthetics come from. I kind of like to, I keep my edges rugged. I'll have my, like I said, my angles are never like straight. I like to like have the little twists and turns. I like to like sort of highlight the crease marks, the joints where two slabs are coming together. So yeah, I like to like keep it as real, and of course aesthetically pleasing also, like finding that balance. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I do and how I do. I think now probably like show you around my studio space. Okay, so I'm gonna take you to the entrance. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's start. Okay. So this is the studio space. I have my signage here, which I made on my own. Okay, so we enter here, and then I have a little storage here for my books and tools that are not, I don't need them on daily basis, so that's there. I have this little Christmas vibe going on in my studio right now. This is where all my non-making part, basically, like where planning, strategy, emails, all of that happens here. I have a tiny balcony here, and I have my water connection here because you really need some access to water when you're working with clay. I have a little green corner here. I have these pieces that I made myself. This is terracotta clay. Okay, so this side, okay, this is where my kiln is, and this is like one of the most important equipment in ceramic process. I was unloading yesterday, but I left some inside just for you guys to see how it works inside. So basically, there are these shelves that are like piled one on top of the other, and you load your stuff here. So right now I have my plates inside. I have these two workbenches here. So this one is where, so this is a heavy duty, like sturdy table, and this is where all my work is made. I have storage space below. Basically, all my clay that, all the extra, I store it because I recycle it. So I try to have as much like little wastage of material as possible. This is my toolbox here that I need on a daily basis. I have another toolbox there, a bigger one on the other side, that side. I'll show you. So that's like the bigger collection, but this one is where that I use almost every day. And yeah, so this one, okay, let me just take you through different stages in the ceramic making process. So this is what the clay looks like when you've made something. So I'm just making some ceramic tassels for someone. So this is called greenware stage, where I have made something and I've exposed it. I'm waiting for it to dry. When it dries completely, it becomes this color. This is when, like all the water has been evaporated from the clay. So yeah, so like, for example, this. For bigger, chunkier pieces, I usually keep them covered so there is slow drying, because uneven drying can lead to breakage. So this is the first stage, and when it's fully dried, when it becomes this light gray, is when you fire your first firing. So there are minimum, like, in most cases, there are 2 firings that happen in ceramic process. So the first firing happens at this stage. It comes out like this. So this is the bisque pieces. And at this stage is when I add my colors, and the glazing, patterns, prints, all of that I work with happens at this stage. Then it goes in for its second and final firing, and then they come out and look like this. So it's literally like moving from that to this. And I'll discuss my aesthetic and my process. I will come back to this area towards the end, but I just wanted to just show you how it works. I then have my shelving units here, and I've kind of segregated here. So the first one here is basically for my greenware, the pieces that need to be going for their first firing. So right now I have this. So this is terracotta clay. And once this is baked, like right now it's brown, but once it's baked, it becomes red, like those ones there. So right now I have these pieces going in for my next firing. This is for a client project that I'm working on. So the first shelf I've dedicated for greenware, and this is for bisque pieces. So this is where I know these have to be glazed. And yeah, so I was saying, this first table I kind of use for construction part. This table I usually use for glazing. And then I have different kind of clays down here. I have my terracotta clay here. That's porcelain white clay. That's stoneware. So also another storage space here. Okay, this is a wedging table. So basically, when you start making something, the first thing that you have to do is knead your clay. Like how you knead your dough, when you have to work with that. I think the primary reason for that is just to release all the air bubbles that are there in the clay, because if there is any air trap and you fire it in the kiln, there's a good chance that it can explode or crack, and the flying pieces can crack or break other pieces around. So yeah, a lot of things can go wrong if one piece has some air bubbles trapped. So yeah, so you kind of knead your clay here, you wedge it here, and then I move it to that table and I start my construction part there. So this is the storage space. This is where my finished pieces, I usually keep my finished pieces here right now. Mostly right now, of late, I've been working on project basis. So what I make, I kind of, I fire it and I ship it out quickly. So right now I have my shelves kind of empty-ish. And this is my storage space, shelves where I kind of I don't know. So these are my glazes. These are my toolbox. These are my raw materials for glazing. Brushes, just general, I dump everything here. And this space right now is empty because I am going to be making a gallery space out of this. So this is something that I need to work on right now. So how I kind of imagine my studio space is this is going to be the working space here. That's the ideating space, making space, and here I'm going to have a display gallery area. So that's basically how I envision my studio right now. I have just recently moved in here because before this I was working out of a community studio. And okay, let me just okay, I need you to show you this first. Okay, let me finish this part. So I just wanted to show you the different techniques I employ in my pieces. So most of my work is very textural based, unless I'm working with a specific client and his specific needs where it needs to be toned down or something. But if I am making my own pieces, I work with a lot of textures. And I think that's coming from my textile background. So I use a lot of lace fabrics. I like to create depth in my work, a lot of information, different glazes coming in, at different points. Literally, if I look at this piece, there is no one side that is identical to the other. There is something going on in each side. So I kind of like that it's unpredictable. Also, I work with these transfer prints, block prints. So yes, a lot of textiles is coming in my ceramics. And I think my general process is very intuitive and very spontaneous. I can't plan my pieces from start to the end usually because for example, if I don't know if it's visible, but if you see this bump here and the curve here, I can never plan these things. These are happening on the spot while I'm constructing the piece. um yeah, so it's each piece has a different story, like how it's happening, and I can never plan these things. So it's literally happening on the spot for me, like the decisions are being made right there and then. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do and how I do. So I don't know. Yeah, like for me, like I don't know if you can see the bump here, but I like it like that. Like as supposed to, if I had kept it like a regular rectangle, like a 90-degree, I think this for me has much more character. Like these little dents and like that bump inside, that this thing coming out. For me, this excites me more. So that's pretty much my aesthetic. And
Kritika? Um, I guess we are having a technical issue.
I had no knowledge about ceramics. So it was good that I was working out where there were people to
Hi,
help and guide
Kritika.
me.
We lost you.
Oh, am I there now?
No, you're back. You're back. You're back. Yes.
Okay, okay. How much rewind do I need to do to my?
When you flipped your camera.
Oh, okay. So I was saying how I moved in here in the studio only in July this year. And until then, I was working out of a community studio. So, and I was just saying that how it was good for me because I generally had no formal prior experience of working with clay, and there was so much to learn. How to work with a kiln, glazes, the chemical components of like how glazing is done, what is the purpose of glazing, how you can play. Like I think you need to know the rules before you can bend and break them. And because I didn't know the rules, I think it was good for me to start from a community place, where there were experienced ceramic artists already who could guide me and handhold me wherever I needed their help. And I think then I reached a stage where I kind of wanted my own space, and I was like, okay, I'm ready now to like be fully independent. So yes, so yeah, I'm just starting out on this journey now, like having my own independent studio. So that's pretty much that.
I'm just so glad to know that Delhi has a community space for ceramists, and you can go there and check out and
There are,
develop
yeah,
yourself before you jump into and have your own studio.
absolutely. I am so grateful because honestly, if I didn't have that, I do not know if I would have garnered the, like the strength to take that jump. Like imagine from no knowledge to independent studio immediately, like nothing in between. So I don't know if I would have done
And
that
it's very
then.
expensive.
Exactly, it's very expensive. You don't know if you want to invest so much money in it. Is it just a hobby thing for you? Do you want to make a career out of it? So I think it served like a good buffer for me to like stick around and figure out for myself if I'm that serious about this, that I want to like make a career out of it.
I noticed three things actually. I love that there's a huge Japanese vibe going on in your studio, like the way the shelves are placed, and it's so clean. And you have that similar thinking process. Like they want to always have a shelf left for greenware, and then a shelf left for what needs to be glazed next. It's
Right.
all in order, and this is like what I've seen Japanese masters have in their studios. So I love that in your. And I noticed that you have a electric kiln with you, right?
Yes, I work with an electric kiln. Yeah. So there are like different, like there's gas kiln, there's electric kiln. There are different kind of firings. I work with electric kiln. And like just to like go back to your point when you were, so when I took this space, honestly, it was bigger than what I needed right now. But when I got this space, I was pretty sure I didn't want to dump it, because usually when you have a bigger space, you tend to fill it up.
Yeah.
And I was pretty clear that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come to a little airy, space where it didn't have to have something at every corner, at every place.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I kind of like a little
And I'm guessing
emptiness
you're
and
using your I'm guessing you're using some of the local materials in terracotta because you have green terracotta, and like what we get over here is red terracotta that comes from Gujarat, I think. So
Okay, yeah,
and the green
yeah. I
terracotta
am
I have.
buying this. Yeah, I'm buying this from a local potter in Delhi who makes it right here. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, as much as I can locally produce and like locally source materials, I think it just works better for me.
So your glazes are what make your own glazes, or are these all what glazes with the
So when I started
thing that's
out,
already done
yeah,
over
so when
here?
I started out, I obviously didn't understand what the process of making a glaze is. So at that point in time, I started with ready-made glazes. Um, and then I took one course in glaze making, and I understood, and I kind of felt confident about, okay, like how you can test. There are so many recipes you can test, you can figure out, you can like sort of tweak something that suits and works for you. So right now at this stage, I am making my own glazes. I have taken some recipes and I've tweaked them a little, to get what I want out of them. So yeah, so right now I'm not using any ready-made glazes. One, just for the simple fact that I just feel that then it's like everybody might be having that, and then it's not exclusive
Yeah,
to Sabi. So
yeah.
yeah, so just for that fact, I just prefer having something that's exclusive for the
What
studio.
happens when your batch, clay batch, firing batch goes bad? Because I know it is also a very frustrating time when your glazes don't work, and every step is just like you don't know if they work, and you have so many steps to do. In every step, it can just break or just go bad, even in the last moment.
Absolutely. Like that's the best and the worst part about glaze firings, because honestly, I've had some experiments that have worked beautifully that I did not even expect. Like I tried some experiments and I had certain image of it that that's how it's going to come out, but they've actually turned out like 10 times much better than what I had in my mind. And then I've had some cases where I am looking for something and then it's gone 10 times like worse than what I had, or like, some component, because there are different components that are going in a glaze making, and you get one component that is not right, it can ruin the whole glaze, right? And I've had that one time where I didn't test one raw material and I used it, and that was a bad batch, and it ruined the whole glaze and it ruined my whole firing. So I think it's just part of the whole game, like, ups and downs, like you learn from it,
Yeah.
that never like be lazy and like always test your
Yeah.
materials. So yeah, you learn from it.
Okay, I have
Yeah.
a last question for you. Like,
Sure.
what do you think of the ceramic scene in India, and how do you promote your work? And how do you think what can help you as an artist in India, as
So
ceramic
I
artist?
think we are at an interesting point where I think I think at this transitional phase where people are finally realizing that clay is not just craft, it's art as well. And I think people are starting to see that, and like they're starting to see value in like handcrafted ceramic pieces. Like earlier, I think like some years back, 10, 15 years back, probably not so much. Like the market for ceramic art wasn't that big. I don't think it's big right now. Also, it's still niche. I still feel that, but I think people are open to it now. I think the exposure to that thing is there now. We have trinales happening where it's bringing the best of ceramic artists from India, together. So I think events like these, I think ceramics is finally getting some attention. How I personally position myself, I think right now Instagram, like I think it's just social media that I'm trying to like promote my work, put my work out there for people to notice, for people to know that something like this is existing in the market. It is not easy. It takes its time, like for anybody who wants to like move to ceramics as a full-time career option, I would definitely let them know, like, be prepared, this takes a while for
Yeah.
you to like finally find your feet in this industry. It takes a while, so you have to be patient. Yeah.
So you like you mentioned like there are artists and there are craftsmen in this industry as well. But if you want to be more art based rather than product based or commercial based, how do you go about that?
I think you have to find your own way, like I could, so for example, like I am making these terracotta tiles, okay, which I think are contemporary, okay, and relevant, versus you also get terracotta ghadas, like,
Yeah.
so it really depends, like how you want to, like, there is a common material and which route you want to take, what look you want to give it, and how are you positioning it in the market. So I think it's totally up to you. You can go it either ways, and I don't think one is above the other. They're all coexisting. um you have to find your own way, and like your own voice, and like, yeah, just like find your way out.
Super. I'm gonna open the questions now for everyone in the chat. Like, if you guys have any more questions. Okay, so Rita has one question. Can you elaborate on which Japanese artist influences you?
Okay, so I don't think I am influenced by Japanese artists. I am influenced by Japanese philosophies. I don't particularly follow artists because I. So there's one thing about me. Like, I am very conscious of not following an artist too closely because I think it starts reflecting in your work. So I am very guarded about, okay, I might appreciate, I might see someone's work, but I don't follow too much. I don't get too close, like what they're doing and how they're doing, because feel that it starts, like, it leaves an imprint in your mind and it'll start showing in your work. And yeah, so I don't like that. So I don't think there's an artist that I follow, but yeah, it's just certain philosophies of theirs that kind of like define my work.
Can you also elaborate a bit more about your experiences with artists? How do you like? I know that from in my experience, they've just been more open with their kilns or their techniques. What is your experiences been with the whole community in India and abroad? The ceramic
With the
community.
textile, with the ceramic artists.
Yep.
Okay, so I've done an artist residency abroad. I have attended one workshop, and yeah, I have some experience of like artists abroad. I think they're way more open and very inviting and super helpful. I don't see that much show, which I am not like saying that. I just feel that I think they're so open about it because out there, I think ceramic industry is established, like it's already seen as an art.
Yep.
They don't have to struggle. I think we're in a different phase where I think ours is a little guarded community. It takes a while for you to like sort of like
Okay.
break into your, find your feet into the industry. And
Yeah.
at least I had to that. That's my personal experience. So I'm really not like yeah, saying the negative in a negative way, but I think I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
see
No.
one
No.
stark
Actually,
difference.
the way.
Yeah,
Yeah. No. When it comes to their recipes, yes, they are more guarded. But
they are
I
super
find it
guarded. They will
very
not tell you.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
They will not guard it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like when they're firing, so like especially like raku firing or some vara firing, so they come together and they're like, okay, I have space in the kiln and just join in your work if you would like to. At
Right.
least that's been a little bit of my experience. But do you have to have a little bit of contact and understanding with the artist to get there also?
I mean,
Yeah,
okay, so for example, if you need some space for firing and all, I think people are very helpful. They are very helpful. Okay. You will find a
yeah,
way, someone will always offer you. But like, say for example, a technique or a recipe, when you get technical and you want to get
yeah,
that kind of help,
yeah,
I think it's a little closed. People take one step back
yeah.
that, hey, yeah, they won't directly give
Yeah.
you an answer. Which I
That's
see a
yeah,
different artists abroad. They're very open. You ask them anything, they'll
yeah,
give you extra information. Like they're so secure about what they're doing and
yeah.
how they're doing, and yeah, they don't care. So I see that difference definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Any more questions we have, guys? Um, no.
The work is so
Okay.
beautiful. I must say.
You have any?
I don't have a question. I'm just saying, I'm just giving her some compliments. The work is really, really lovely. I love the textures you've used, and the colors are
Thank
really.
you so much. Thank you.
I'm like the subtle colors that are coming in your collections are awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, how different is vintage from Wabi Sabi? Because I think something that's vintage also goes through the same wear and tear that you're talking about in Wabi Sabi.
Yeah.
So, how would you basically define or explain the difference between the two things? Something that's been passed down generations, be it a piece of jewelry or a piece of furniture, anything.
Right. Right. Um, could you elaborate a little on the question?
Yeah. So, how
So
would
you're
you say
saying what the
what's
difference
the.
between vintage and
Yeah.
wabi sabi?
Yeah.
Uh, I think vintage. I think I would call say wabi sabi is the bigger umbrella. I think vintage comes under that. I think wabi sabi is, um, it's literally It's a big umbrella of philosophy where it's literally just saying that changes happen over time. We're gonna get wrinkles. Uh, you can't run away from it. You're gonna get white hair. You can't escape that. That's how it's meant to happen. That's how. Uh, that's what aging does to you, to products. Like the furniture will get some chipped edges in the end. Like your ceramic mug is gonna get some cracks or something. So that's part of like passage of time that happens. Vintage, I think these are trends probably. Like it's a trend, I would say, a vintage. Whereas wabi sabi, I think it's a philosophy. Like it's there. I don't know if I can articulate this properly, but yeah, like I just feel like vintage is a trend and wabi sabi is the philosophy. Like it's the real thing, where these things are coming from. Like these are like small bits that are like stepping from there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Kritika, can I ask a question?
Please.
So, friend of mine, I am not as well versed in the space of ceramic and pottery and clay, but a
Yeah.
friend of mine who has a brand in Bangalore called Slow Pottery told me that there is this association of ceramic, pottery, clay with therapy.
Yes, yes.
So, I just wanted to basically know a bit more from you. That what is,
Okay,
yeah.
right. I can give you like just a bit of information because it's clinically like related. So I obviously don't have that background where I can like, clinically prove like how it helps. But definitely it has therapeutic properties when you're working with clay. And it's only because once you start working with the material, it literally, you're having a conversation with it. You cannot afford to have other thoughts because one slight distraction and you could lose, like for example, if you're working on the wheel, you cannot afford to have any other thoughts. And it happens so effortlessly. Like you don't have to tell yourself, okay, I am switching off now. It happens very organically because you have something in your hand as delicate as clay at that point in time. One little distraction, you look up and you could have like spoiled the piece. So I do know clay is used with it's used clinically, like in these fields, only because it has those properties. Like it engages you and it helps you cut off like other thoughts, and it helps you switch off. So definitely it helps. Yes.
And what do you think about this association? Do you think it is confining to have
Sorry,
this?
I lost that last bit. Do I think?
Do you think it is confining and putting the entire space and art into a box? Because this is what my friend's experience has been. Because she said that it's good, it is, but it is somewhat getting a little too, um, stereotyped in a way. It's getting there, is what is told to me by her.
Uh, I wouldn't relate to that statement at all. I think there is so much happening in the ceramic space right now. Each artist has their own style, very different from the other person. The kind of products every artist is making is so unique and so different. I wouldn't say that it's getting stereotyped or it's being contained anywhere. I think we're only exploring and we're only growing from here. Like I said, I think especially in India, I think the market is finally like recognizing ceramic as art, finally.
Yeah.
And I think we're just growing from here. So yeah, I wouldn't say that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, it's been a wonderful session, Kritika. Thank you for taking us
Thank
around
you.
your
Thanks for
space,
having me. Thank you.
and thank you for your experiences.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you so much.
Thank you guys for attending the event. We have another event at 5 o'clock. So please join us then. Okay.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye bye.